Man, what's happening with the world? It's your boy, the Toothless Wonder, reporting from the Bamboozled Again News Network. So I just jumped right into it while I got some free time. So whereas I was checking out the news updates about old Milton down there in Florida, right? And I found myself perplexed because they were talking about the damage and all that there, right? Prayers to those, who are affected. Um, but it some weird stuff is going on. So according to the news reports and then other reports that I've seen from like TikTok and stuff like that, these people talk essentially, I'm putting in layman's terms, created a tornado. Created a hurricane. Notice I use the word created, right? Created a hurricane, and then when the hurricane hit the land, it dropped off tornadoes somewhere in the area of 20 to 30 some odd tornadoes inside or dispatched from a hurricane. Geoengineering, hell of a drug. That's not. I've never heard of that before. Or one term I heard was something about vertical. No, what they call that jump? Um, Water streaming or like these old like when I was in school, I ain't never hear about no hurricane dropping off, no Oklahoma style tornadoes inside of a hurricane. But you know what's tripping out though? What tripped me out though, right? About This got to be over 10 years ago. Yeah, that was before I broke. No, like I had this period where I used to have these super duper vivid dreams after coming out of a traumatic experience, right where I broke my neck. So I had this dream. I was at the house I grew up in, right? And then, family around, I'm outside. So I decided to ride my bike to my grandfather's house, which isn't bike ride distance. Um, so as I take off, I'm going down the road on my bicycle. A storm starts forming. You know what I'm saying? Like it starts getting dark. So I'm like, oh my, I might as well turn around and go back home. I go back home, but everybody's gone. And then the storm is like, looming, right? So then a tornado comes. So I rebuked the tornado in the name of Yeshua, right? And after I did that, it seemed like the tornadoes came off an assembly line and circled around me and then turned into like statues you would see in like Egypt or something like that, right? And got cemented in stone. That's what the tornadoes turned into. So I rebuked them again, but it didn't work. So I'm like, all right. And then there was some like haggly type of old woman talking all this sexual crap. So I'm like, man, I'm gone. So I goes in the house, right? Goes in the house and say, I'm going to sleep. I went to sleep in my dream and then woke up like later on that night, still in the same dream. As I'm going out the doorknob is turning. So I open the door up and it's my dad, right? So then me and him go sit on the roof and there's like all this like destruction and carnage, but we had some issues at the time. And we basically just sitting on the roof, like in this era of forgiveness, right? So the way my childhood home was set up, there's actually like a smaller guest home behind it, right? So we sitting on the roof. And the crazy thing about it, they say when the dream come from God, I don't know how true it is. They say it'll be real bright. So we looking up in the sky, right? And then here in Maryland, I didn't see it, but they said we had the Northern Lights, and I seen people post pictures of it. But I was out all night long and I ain't seen nothing. So we looking up in the sky, and it looks like the galaxy gases, like the greens and the different heliums or whatever type of gas that is, like you see in outer space or when a star's being formed or something like that. And all the colors was real bright. The crazy part about it, even the black of space was bright. So, we just sitting in this era of, I guess, forgiveness or whatever. I don't really remember saying anything or him saying anything to me. But we looking at the damage and we're seeing like this bright sky, even the black is bright, right? And then behind the guest home comes this great big, like almost Godzilla size snake, right? And the snake got these bright red and green colors, but it's black, right? Highlighted with bright red and green. And it's red and it's real bright. And it's, got the, how the snake do his tongue or whatever. But it's slithering along super duper. It's bigger than the guest house. But it doesn't seem daunting. It doesn't seem, imposing other than its size, right? So then the snake turns, sees us on the roof, and then starts coming towards us. So I stand up on the roof, and as the snake gets close enough, I stomp on his head and I wake up. Woo-wee! I don't know about that one. So now I'll share another dream, right? And I'm going to try to tie all this in together. I'm just coming with the freestyle off the dome here. So this is during the time I was drinking, and this was actually maybe some months before I actually got hit by a car, broke my neck. And there's a whole backstory about how I got resurrected that night. So whereas though I was coming off a weekend bender, right? So I'm trying to shut down. I gotta go work Monday. So it's probably like 5, 6. I've been drinking since probably Thursday. You know what I'm saying? Ripping and running, woo woo, right? So I go to sleep. Now I go to sleep, I start having this dream. I'm in a bar, right? And in the bar, I think I might have told this story on here before, but I'm in the bar, and it's kind of like a dive bar, I guess. Random town, whatever. So I sit down, I get my drink, but then the dude beside me tells me, say, yo, make sure you take your drink with you, because if you leave your essence on the drink, the demon will come in and kill you and all this other type of stuff, right? So I'm like, all right. The details on it is clear now that's been so long. So whatever transpires. I think they had a guest, like a hotel in the bar or something. But I messed around. I think I left my cup. So I go to sleep in the dream again. And then I'm having a dream inside of the dream in which I'm in a wooden oak barrel. And the dude beside me is getting killed by this demon. And I'm screaming out. Well, I didn't know this particular name at the time, but I'm calling out to Jesus, right? So then I wake up back in the first dream. And like, woo, what was that? And then I wake up in this reality. I said, yo, what the world was that? So I shake it off. I go downstairs. I get some water. I smoke a cigarette, right? Shake it off. Go back to lay down and go right back to the same dream, right where it left off at. Now, the second part I vaguely remember now. But again, I wake back up. Say, yo, what was that? Do the same number. Go get some water, smoke another cigarette. Go lay down. Go right back to the same dream for the trifecta. True story. So in this part, I'm up on this hill, and there's a road, and there's a bus stop, but I'm trying to figure out which way to get the hell out of here. True story. So then I feel a tap on my left shoulder. I turn around, and I just somehow know it's the devil, right? It's Satan, but he got a trench coat on, and he looks just like John Travolta. And he said, oh, before that, so this was what I'm saying, I'm on the hill or whatever. And then there are these kids with the depiction of a mushroom cloud from a nuclear bomb on their shirts. And they're talking about how abortion is good, right? That's when I said, man, I got to get the hell out of here. So I'm looking at which way to go, right? And that's when John Travolta Satan masquerading as John Travolta with a trench coat on, tapped me on my shoulder. I turn around and look, and John Travolta, Satan, whatever, says, I'm going to kill you. I say, man, I ain't scared of you. And I wake up again. I said, woo-wee. My shorty was living at the time. I called her. She tell me I need to stop drinking. I'm not trying to hear that right now. You supposed to be supportive. Granted, I was a whole lot more toxic back then, right? But in light of these, and I'm tying it all together, or at least I'm attempt to, right? Was this any kind of foresight? Because after I had that second dream, I can't remember the exact time frame, 2 to 3 months after that, I actually got hit by a car. No, she was still alive then. It might have been 6 months. But I got hit by a car and, should have died, this, that, and the third. But to bring it fast forward to, current times and events, from the video footage I've seen of these tornadoes, it don't look exactly like it, but it's a very close semblance of what I had seen in my dream. I had a dream, this a few weeks ago, not a few months ago. My whole version of time is off. You know what I'm saying? Especially retroactively. So this might have been 4 or 5 months ago, but I'll be saying a couple months. And I reached out to another brother I know on YouTube, where I told him about this dream I had, whereas though, again, I'm in some small, I would assume Midwestern town, and all of a sudden there's these out of nowhere drone strikes. But I'm not particularly scared. I just kind of, slide, and I'm kind of on the observative tip, whoop the whoop the whoop the whoop the whoop. So I tell him the dream or whatever. But in the dream, somehow I knew it was like you ever seen that what's that? G.I. Joe, like the Cobra type of, it wasn't necessarily like a country. It was like some shadowy organization nestled inside of a country, but nobody knew who it was exactly. You know what I'm saying? But it was like these AI drone strikes. So I'm explaining the dream to the brother I know on YouTube here through email. And then he said, wow, that sounds like, shucks, I forgot the name of the movie. So I actually watched this particular movie. It was basically about how, like, oh man, I forgot. I think Julia Roberts was in it. It's a pretty decent junk though. I forgot the name of the movie. Shucks. But the first few scenes of the movie were exactly like the dream I had about a movie that I didn't know had came out yet. So I hit him back like, yo, that's exactly how, like, not exactly, but a very close depiction and semblance of the scenes, the kind of plot and all this here, and woo, 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 woo. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just talking to y'all, yeah? But I do believe I have some type of prophetic gift. Or I'm able to, like, pick out, even in just random life occurrence. Like, you know, like I'm pretty good at English when I was in school. That was more so like my thing. Reading, writing, literature, comprehension, so on and so forth. And I always picked up on, you know, this literary concept of foreshadowing, where the author gives you a hint of something to come in something kind of like small, slight, random, if you can pick it up. And I think even throughout my life, if I'm like, I can look back and see it in hindsight, but I've had a lot of foreshadowing going on. So much so, I think, I don't know how I would compare it to other people, which I try not to do, but I definitely have, I would like to believe the gift of foresight in behaviors or certain events that seemingly are random. Where are they leading? And I mean, to a certain degree, I guess if, you know, you read Revelation, like we already know the script to some degree, maybe not necessarily all the nuances and catalysts and individual characters involved. Because somebody I seen something on talking about was um, the hurricane with the tornado drones. Was that God's judgment or was it man-made? Both. If you ask me, I ain't nobody. You know what I'm saying? I think it's both. If if man made it, then God allowed them to do that for whatever's purpose. Even the wicked are used in God's purposes. You see what I'm saying? Um, it's just real, like, you know, and the word talks about, you know, wars, you know, earthquakes in diverse places and famine, and, you know what I'm saying? Not to just be dismissive of it, but because we're so, and then I was thinking about this as well, we're so, like, the whole news cycle is different. You realize, again, my time frames be off. Let's say it's a couple months ago. They had an assassination attempt, whether it was real or manufactured, beside the point. That's the point I'm highlighting. On a current or a former U.S. president who's currently running. And we don't even talk about that anymore. We're just getting bombarded with so much super duper spectacular news, financial news, Diddy. Do we even talk about him anymore? You know what I'm saying? These natural disasters, or like the news cycle, like what happened to Trump would be talked about, let's say 10 years ago, for the next 10 years. It's been a couple months, if my time frames are correct, and we totally forgot about it. And he then had 2 more incidents as we're leading up to election, but it's kind of like afterthought. It's almost like, I don't even know how to quantify it. It's like, of course, the only thing that's real is the present moment. That's why I think my brain, or somehow consciously, in hindsight, my time frames are off. In one way, something like, let's say my shawty passed away, which now has been working on 12, 13 years. It doesn't seem like 12 or 13 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what did I do for all that time? And I do remember, but it's just like that construct of time since that time period, it's hard for me to grasp to some degree intellectually, because it doesn't seem that long. And then at the same time, it does seem that long. Or the individual that experienced that or had that experience, I'm evolved from that. So that even though I remember it, I can't believe it's that long, there's a certain disconnect because I'm not the same individual. Even though I'm still me, I'm still not the same. I'm not the same individual I was back then. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to get into more of this understanding of just consciousness. Not to go way over to the left and occultic side or nothing like that, but like I've been experiencing a lot of synchronicity lately. Some flashes of deja vu. You know what I'm saying? Like, what this mean? But because I got an analytical, analyzing type mind. But as much as I do that, I'm still not going to be able to figure it out. I just embrace it in the real time, in the moment, understanding that something is leading me somewhere. Especially if I go along this path and then I have a flash memory of something that I've never experienced. But I'm like, yo, I've seen this before. You said that. The scene was like this. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what's going on. It's just very. I don't even know what I'm a title of this joint, yo. But I think my consciousness or my perception of reality that I truly believe isn't real is fractioning. Not in like a go crazy type of thing, but it's almost like I'm in reality, but I'm still able to observe it from almost a third party or a third person kind of way. You know how like you read these books, again back to the English kind of thingy thing, where people tell a story from third person, but they're detailing all the details and how the person felt and what they were thinking, like they're them, even though they're not them. I think that's why I call this junk. Experiencing life in real time inside of myself in third person. But that's all I got, man. Hope y'all have a happy Friday, man. Stay up out chat.